Welcome, everyone. This is a public info session for Botcamp, which is an educational company that we spun out of Hummingbot in the last few months. And we've been pretty successful, I think, in educating people about algo trading market making. We've done 6 cohorts so far with over 230 students, I believe. So today we wanted to give you a sense for what the future roadmap for Botcamp looks like and what we want to teach people over the course of this year. Okay, so the first item we'll cover is just a brief introduction into what Hummingbot is and what Botcamp is as well. This may be a bit redundant for those of you on the call who already understand that, but we thought it'd be helpful to go over how much Hummingbot has changed over the past few years. Next, we'll cover what Botcamp cohorts are. So cohorts are kind of like 5-week, really hands-on intensive boot camps where we try to really teach someone how to build their own custom strategy. So we'll go over the plan for the cohorts for this year, and then after that we'll discuss what courses are like. Courses are the more introductory content that we have. And finally, if we have time, we can also demo some of the things that we've been building with Hummingbot and what we try to teach people to build with Hummingbot and Botcamp. And of course, we can always take questions from the audience. Actually, for the questions, if you have questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat and try to answer them, or me or Fede will try to answer them all the way through instead of at the very end. So, and we want to make this conversational as well. So if you have something to say, just raise your hand and we'll try to answer your question live as well. All right, everyone. So let's get started. So first about Hummingbot. So Hummingbot, for those of you who are new to Hummingbot, is an open source algorithm that helps you, it's an open source framework for helping you build algo trading and market making strategies. So when we first started, it's an open source project. So I think it's fairly unique in that it's completely free, it's public, but it's also a high quality piece of software. And so the story is that when we started in 2018, it was a simple kind of command line based bot that only allowed you to run a few specific strategies. But it was a hit because at the time there was no other software like this, and but there's a need for market making because in 2018 this is kind of right after the last like maybe 2 crypto booms ago, and there's a lot of tokens in the market who need liquidity and they needed market makers, but even the market makers needed some type of software they could run. And so Hummingbot kind of found its place in the market and has grown ever since. So today, even though the interface still looks similar to what you see on the left, the framework has evolved quite a bit, and so now it's a framework that helps you deploy multiple bots across many different exchanges, and also set up systems to monitor and to track them and to analyze the performance. So, but the commonality is that it's still open source, and the reason it's open source is because we found ways to sustain ourselves through the community and through partnerships with exchanges. So on the community side, we've grown into what I think is the largest community of market makers in crypto. So our Discord, we have people who talk about trading, about engineering, and about the latest improvements that they themselves are contributing to. We also maintain a pretty active YouTube. We'll publish this video on YouTube afterwards. And of course, our home for our code is on GitHub, where we maintain several repos that are all open source, and a lot of people download our code. So because it's available on GitHub, that's how people find us. So a lot of smaller projects, token projects, will just run Hummingbot instead of hiring a market maker. And a lot of the small to medium market makers in the industry basically run Hummingbot or heavily customized versions of Hummingbot. And so this is what our usage currently looks like. I would say, just like with volumes in crypto increasing, we've also seen a surge in volumes. So over the past 3 months, Hummingbot users have traded about 11.5 billion across 100 different exchanges. So that works out to more than 100 million on average per day. And actually lately, we've actually seen the volume spike into the 200 or 300 million per day kind of ranges as certain days have been even quite busy in the crypto markets. But overall, I would say I think for us, we haven't expanded very much because we've tried to really focus on market making and try to make sure that the software was usable by even professional firms. So that's why we kind of really focused on the back end of the product rather than the front end, so to speak. So in terms of how we're set up, the foundation, I think, over the last couple of years has kind of found its stride. and become a sustainable nonprofit DAO. So, the way it works is ultimately, Hummingbot, the code base, is actually owned by the HBot token holders. The token holders elect the board who oversee the staff. So, like Fede and the QA team are part of the staff of the foundation. I'm one of the board of directors. But overall, our job is to manage the foundation treasury and to enter into partnerships with exchanges who support us and to maintain the code base. Because these exchanges financially sponsor us, I think we found that we can actually build a sustainable business model around this, where our focus is really on working with the community to maintain and improve the code base. So I think when we first started, we only had like 2 or 3 exchanges supported. Now I believe we have over 50, including a lot of the newer decentralized exchanges which have come out recently, like Vega and Hyperliquid. So I think for us, it's a challenge to maintain all the different centralized exchanges and the decentralized exchanges. But I think this kind of organization allows us to really delegate the work to a lot of community developers, keep the core staff lean, and so that even the bear markets, when we were getting a much less fee share from exchanges, I think this structure still works. But I think that the other reason we want to kind of like use Hummingbot to expand is because Hummingbot is a much broader product than it was in the very beginning. So as I mentioned, now you can deploy multiple bots, but you can also basically run many different bots across in many different ways. So we've also added a bunch of components this year, like Dashboard, which helps you analyze the performance of your bots and run multiple bots. We're working on a Telegram integration codenamed Condor. Condor is going to connect to something called backend API, which is essentially like a better manager for your bots on the backend. So this will plug into a system that we're kind of like managing right now. But ultimately, what we think this will give you is basically it'll give individuals the ability to create a professional market making or algo trading operation in a box. So it's like instead of having to hire lots of engineers or traders or operational people, it's like you can basically manage even hundreds of bots just from a single Telegram account. And so that's I think the power that this framework will eventually give you. But of course, we need help from the community to build it with us, but also to use it and to make sure that what we're building is actually something the community wants. So that's why I think that's actually one of the main reasons we separated Botcamp from the Hummingbot Foundation. The main people running Botcamp, it's still me and Fede, but it allows us to focus on the educational component of Hummingbot and really try to make sure that what we're building in our quote day jobs on the open source side is actually being used. At the same time, by the revenue stream of Botcamp allows us to kind of keep on expanding Hummingbot and to kind of like make sure that the nonprofit part has enough revenues to be sustainable. So I think that Hummingbot as a DAO is, I think we always want to keep it community based and decentralized. And so that's why over time we've kind of taken businesses we've created like Miner, which is now also separate, as well as Botcamp, which going forward will also be separate, and try to have them support the overall ecosystem. So this is kind of like a we kind of published recently in the blog, but overall I think I just want to take this time to kind of like announce that we're separating Botcamp from the foundation. So what Botcamp does is it's going to provide professional training for algo traders and market makers. The main instructors will be myself and Fede, along with a set of community mentors. And our value proposition, I think, will be pretty straightforward. It's really providing hands-on instruction to algo traders and market makers using Hummingbot. We also partner with protocols to educate the communities achieving volume metrics through Hummingbot and through Botcamp. And finally, our goal is to support the Hummingbot open source ecosystem by ensuring that what's being built, it actually fits what people want to learn. And the way we do that, we have 2 kind of offerings. One is Cohorts, and the second is Courses. So I'll discuss kind of like the structure of Cohorts first, and then Courses afterwards. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about our Cohorts first. This was our original offering So we actually started doing these in, I believe, late 2022, almost like just as a side business. And now I think they've expanded quite a lot. So we've done 6 cohorts so far. We're actually in the middle of one right now for a top blockchain protocol. But the way these are structured these are basically 5-week intensive boot camps where we try to handhold and mentor students through a skill and actually have them build a strategy or run a strategy and learn that skill over that 5-week period. So it's the sessions are primarily connected online. So it's we try to have something like maximum of 20 or 30 students in a single cohort, so that we can provide more personalized instruction and guidance. And so what me and Fede will do is every live session we walk through both the theory and the practice of some algo trading, and we try to and then we also work with mentors to help students through office hours build what they want to build. And so overall, the idea behind Botcamp is that it's in a 5-week period, we can teach people the basics of algo trading and getting them to kind of like, really learn that in a hands-on way by building it and then also demoing it in a kind of demo day format at the very end to their classmates. So with Botcamp now, the other reason we want to, in the past, I think with Botcamp, the focus was more on kind of like the basics of algo trading, but now I think that the new focus will be more on the advanced part of algo trading, and that's because we have the new V2 framework, which is more powerful. So this is a more advanced version. I don't want to scare you, because there's also a simpler version, which is just kind of simpler and easier for you to just run simple strategies. But in the advanced version, if students want, we could actually show them the more advanced version where you're running different types of strategies as controllers, and you're orchestrating all these sub-strategies in a single main strategy. You're using the market data provider to pull in data from lots of different markets and using them in your strategies. So this is kind of like what the new strategy V2 framework that we've been working on is now capable of. So the reason we want to kind of have these info sessions is to kind of explain what Botcamp is really we're going to teach people, because now you can do a lot more. And so we think that now, even if you want to be a professional market maker, you can build that type of operation through Hummingbot. Now, we also want to make sure that we have content for our new beginners as well. So that's why the courses that I'll discuss later on will be more of that intro content for beginners, and the courses will be a lower price point as well. So that's why I think in some ways with cohorts and courses, we're trying to kind of segment our offerings a bit more, so that the courses are kind of like simpler, lower price, and more introductory for beginners, whereas the cohorts are really for someone who's serious, who kind of really wants to learn something because it's going to help them in their careers, either in terms of building algo trading strategies or market making or something like that. So that's kind of like the difference between the two models. I guess I should explain before we proceed. So yeah, so as I mentioned, on for the cohorts, we're going to focus on teaching people, more advanced strategies, and so like what they can build with the V2 strategy framework. So I'll during the AMA section, if there's no more questions, I'll probably have Fede provide an example of a V2 strategy that you can build. So and then the second cohort we'll have in June will be more focused on market making. So basically, the first cohort, which is we're going to run in April, will focus on teaching people how to build V2 or strategy V2, use the strategy V2 framework to build different types of strategies and to customize the existing controller templates we've already introduced. So currently we have controller templates for running market making strategies, directional trading strategies, and then we also just introduced a more like a TWAP type strategy. So these are all strategies that can be customized and extended and built upon. So the main focus for the certified strategy V2's developer one is really teaching people that. And then in June, we have another one that's focused more on market makers. And that one is probably for people who are less technical, but they want to learn more about the theory and the practice of market making. So let me go into more detail now, the structure of these two cohorts, and I think it'll be obvious kind of like the differences between them. So for the certified strategy developer one, and basically it's a 5-week cohort, as I mentioned. So the cohort actually starts a bit earlier. Even before week one, we provide the pre-work. So the pre-work will basically be the courses. Well, we're going to provide the courses and make them available to people who are in this cohort. But the courses should provide essentially the introductory content that shows people the basics and how to install Hummingbot and all the basics. So we'll start week one by going through the kind of like how to run basic strategies in Hummingbot, using scripts. And in week one, we'll try to give everyone a flavor for what are the differences between an algo trading strategy, a market making strategy, and a directional strategy, and see it working in code. In week two, we will basically we'll provide introduction to the V2 framework and go through simple examples and show how the V2 framework provides more power and basically more increase what you can do through the use of executors and having a separate market data provider. So we'll just walk through the basics in week two. After week two, you'll meet with your mentors, have the first set of office hours, and then hopefully submit the kind of like the design for the strategy that you want to build. Is it a custom market making strategy, a directional strategy, maybe something that incorporates some custom data feed? Whatever the design is, you'll submit that in before week three. And in week three, we'll dive into the V2 framework in more detail and kind of go into more examples and show how you can use it in a more complex way. And then finally in week four, during week 3 and 4, you should already be working on your custom strategy, talking to your mentors and getting help. And finally, week 4, we'll go into deploying more bots in production. So this is a bit more practical advice in terms of like if you actually have a strategy you're running out there, what are the practical details you have to consider? Should you run it in the cloud or locally? Should you how do you manage multiple bots? How do you set up Telegram to monitor it? Those types of things. And then finally, in week 5, this is where you will submit a strategy video and you'll demo the strategy you built along the way. And we will do a vote and provide some rewards, really for competitive purposes for the people who've submitted their demo videos. So I'll show you a couple examples later on to give you a sense for what people have demoed. But I think that's the thing. So I think Alex, I'll go ahead a question. How many total class hours make up the certified strategy V2 developer cohort? So great question. So each live session is about an hour and a half. It's posted online afterwards as well. So it's a live session with recorded and posted online. Mentor office hours are usually about 1 to 2 hours, depending on how many people are joined. So I guess like if you kind of like sum up the total class content here, including demo day, my guess is about some quick math. Yeah, it's probably about 10, probably 10 to 15. Yeah, I should probably call it 10 to 12 hours of content is probably the total class time. And then also we also maintain private Discord channels that you can join and get kind of help from our staff as well. So you can book like an installation session if you need help installing Hummingbot. So there is, I would say it's probably 10 to 12 hours of individual like live session time / office hours plus like personalized support on Discord is what you get. Clement asks, we need to know anything on programming languages. Yeah, actually, one of the different, the certified strategy developer cohort, this one actually I think is more technical. So I do think a basic Python is needed for this one. But as I mentioned, actually, I'll get into the next one, the cohort 8. The market maker one will be less technical and aimed at people who really just want to understand market making strategies and understand how to run them, but not necessarily how to code a new one. So just wrapping up on the strategy developer cohort, this will start in mid-April and it will end in kind of like late May, I believe. So the schedule for this is not fully reflected on the website yet. So we'll try to update the website and get it all in place, in the next few days. But the starting date for this cohort is already fixed. I believe it's April 16th. So about a month away. We're actually wrapping up a cohort right now. So that's why for us, this cohort is not, we're actually not super concerned about how many people we get into this cohort, because this is more of like a test cohort for us to make sure that what we're teaching is the right stuff. And plus, you can see, we actually just recently refactored and introduced the documentation for the V2 framework. So in some ways, this cohort is kind of like a beta cohort but we're going to put a lot of focus on teaching each and every student that comes through. So I think we've already had a few signups already, and so we overall we just want to make it really good. And so the finally, there was one last question. Sorry, the language that Hummingbot uses is Python. So overall, I would recommend having a basic understanding of Python before taking this cohort to get most out of it. However, you don't need to be an expert in Python. You just need to know just kind of like how to manipulate the basics. And I think also a knowledge of like command line and GitHub is also helpful as well. So because we do understand that not everyone's a developer. Not everyone wants to be a developer. And so that's actually one reason we've structured the second cohort slightly differently. This one will be aimed more at people who want to learn market making and learn how to kind of maintain a liquidity position. Liquidity position could be, and I'm running a market making bot, but it also could be learning how to manage providing liquidity on a liquidity pool. Where you have to kind of like understand the risk you're taking, and you're earning some fees from placing assets into a pool. So because of that, I think this one will be aimed more at people who want to learn that. So this will start in June. Also, it'll also be 5 weeks, and it'll start in week 1 with teaching kind of like the market making theory, the theory of market making, and what the liquidity landscape looks like in crypto today. So I think I'm pretty well qualified to teach this aspect because so for those who don't know, I wrote this white paper called Liquidity Mining, kind of explain how you could create a system where you could reward market makers through kind of like splitting up rewards in a decentralized way. So that kind of I think kind of kicked off the kind of that term kind of like kicked off the DeFi summer cycle. But anyway, so the overall, I think having spent a lot of time in finance and having spent a lot of time in DeFi, I think that I have a good sense for how market making works on both sexes and dexes. And I think I can give those of you who want to either provide liquidity for your own tokens or exchanges, or just those of you who are just investors who are looking to profit off of what the shape of the landscape looks like right now. I think I can give you a sense for what that looks like. And so in week 2, we'll go into more detail on centralized exchange market making strategies. So this is kind of like what you would typically run with Hummingbot, like pure market making or cross exchange market making. And we'll look at how market makers make money from these strategies, how they hedge the risk, and we'll actually run some bots ourselves in week 2. In week 3, the content will be focused more on market making on the DEX side. So this is understanding how to interact with an AMM, how to provide liquidity to a pool, and how to arbitrage AMM versus a central exchange. So this will be pretty hands-on and technical. We'll run a SexDex arbitrage bot, as well as look at how to automate providing liquidity, basically interacting with an LP pool through a bot as well. In week 4, just like in the first cohort, week 4 will be more practical, hands-on. So we'll talk about how market makers actually manage risk across their portfolio, because you're typically running bots or managing liquidity positions across lots of different chains, lots of different exchanges. So how do you actually keep tabs on everything? How do you make sure that you're not what your exposures are, and how do you kind of like hedge your risk across your portfolio? And finally, in week 5 will also be a demo day as well. The difference here is that the students going through this one will not be expected to develop a new custom algo trading strategy, but rather to execute a strategy plan to basically say, this is what I'm trying to do from a liquidity provision perspective. This is how much capital I have. This is my hypothesis about how the market is going to evolve and how my strategy is going to profit from that. And during weeks 3 and 4, we want students to actually use that strategy with some live capital, maybe $100, $200, and just test it out. Just run that strategy, whether it's a liquidity provision strategy on an AMM or in running a market making bot on a SEX. Run it for a few days and then create a video explaining how it performed. So the overall goal, that's why I think for both cohort 7 and 8, these are aimed at people who want to learn hands-on education on algo trading market making. And the main difference is cohort 7 is focused more on learning the development side of this, learning how to build code and run a strategy. Whereas cohort 8, the focus will be more on running an existing strategy or deploying capital into a pool and managing that overall holistically. So that's why I would say, if you, from a time perspective, if you can't make one or the other, I think that both, we'll try to tailor the content for you in both. However, the one in April, that's the developer one, will be more technical, developer focused. The market maker one will be less technical, but more focused on market making from both a theory and an application perspective. So I hope that gives you a sense for the differences between the two cohorts. As I mentioned, basic Python skills will be needed likely for cohort 7. However, cohort 8, because we'll try to have more theory there. Yeah, I don't think any coding skills are needed for cohort 8. So I hope that helps you figure out which one you want to sign up for if you're still on the fence for that. One thing before I proceed, so some of you may be existing Botcamp subscribers. So for a while, we had a monthly subscription plan for Botcamp that we were experimenting with. We found that the subscription model was not a good fit for how people approach this market, because a lot of time people want to learn a skill set, and the value, we think, is really front loaded. So we've kind of deprecated that format, but we are giving all subscribers a discount code for upcoming cohorts. So if you're part of the cohort, if you're part of the subscriber base before and you want to join one of these cohorts, let us know in Discord and we can send you a discount code that you can use for your purchase. In addition, all subscribers now have lifetime access to the courses. As I mentioned, I'll now go into more detail in terms of how the courses kind of like play into the cohort structure. So before I move on, any questions on the two cohorts we have coming up before I move on? Aleko, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, hello. I'm just curious, how does access to, like, say, previous or future cohort classes work the same curriculum? Like, if you've taken one of the strategy V2 course, could you also see like previous strategy V2 courses if there's or future ones if there's like updates to the system or something?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the probably not the course content, because the course content is really more on the live sessions. We kind of aim the courses, but you will have access to, I guess, basically we're going to give you lifetime access to the Discord now, so you can ask questions in our private channels. But the live sessions are really, I think, for the each course. So I would say, at this point, we're not planning to make. I think every cohort is kind of focused on that cohort's instructions. So I think, and the question you're asking is more like, because the content will be evolving, if you take one cohort, are you missing out on like improvements made to future cohorts? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yes, that's actually a better way to ask the question.
Got it. Yeah. Let me. Okay. I understand. I actually understand. I totally understand the need for this, because we are teaching an evolving framework. So let me think about how to address that. But
no worries.
Yeah, right now, I think I would say that the best way you can say that, we do give you lifetime access to a bunch of private channels on Discord. So it's kind of like we try to provide better support and answer questions on those channels better than on the main Discord channels. So that is one benefit. But right now, I would say we don't accommodate the future changes. But I think it's a good question. And I think, I'll try to think of ways we can accommodate that need in the future. Dimitri?
Yes, thank you. So my question is similar, but more backward looking. Got an impression that there are a lot of great courses has been run before, and I wonder if participating in these cohorts will give access to recordings of previous courses, just for the purposes of additionally going through the materials in your own pace.
Yeah, great question. So yes, we are going to make recordings available for the previous courses. They're actually going to be part of probably of the intro courses, actually. So I'll go into a bit more detail on that right now. But basically, we've done 5 cohorts before. We do have all the live recordings from those available. Previously, we just made them. We just kind of made them available, on our site. But I think we're going to try to clean them up and make them available in a more organized format going forward. But yes, the basic question is yes. And we join these cohorts, you get access to basically an intro course that has you have all the content that we had before. I think let's see, a second, a couple questions from the audience here. So let's see, Jefferson asked, can one use an outsource strategy which has a ready coded market making strategy? So I would say I think the question would be no. Well, I think the answer would be no for that question, because the goal for Botcamp is really to teach people how to build their own strategies. Now, if you have a code for an existing strategy out there, you want to copy and run yourself and modify, we can definitely help you do that. But yeah, so I guess yeah, so well, yeah. So yeah, I guess the answer is if you have this outsourced strategy where the code is available, we can help you implement that in Hummingbot. So I guess the answer is yes. And then finally, Vlad asks, can you give an idea for the kinds of returns achieved by the previous cohort students, whether they come from liquidity mining rewards or from trading P&L, and how scalable those strategies are? So can people achieve good returns on, say, 100K or 100,000 of capital or more? So, we get this question a lot in terms of like how much students can make. And so I think overall, this is it's hard for us to answer that question because everyone uses Hummingbot open source. It's kind of like the reason why people use Hummingbot is because they can use it locally with their own capital, and because they don't need to share what they're doing with everyone else. So overall, I would say I think the outcome that we try to drive in terms of Botcamp is more having people achieve some type of more like a career milestone, or teaching them the skill that they can then use and apply going forward. So I would say success stories are, we've had students who go through Botcamp have gotten a job at a market maker afterwards. And we've also had students who've gone through the Botcamp, participated in training competitions, and won training competitions we've organized afterwards. So actually afterwards, I'll play a couple of videos of like demos that people have built, and to show you, give you a better sense of what they've learned. But overall, I would say our focus in Botcamp is more like teaching people a skill set, and rather than kind of like having people like just like run a bot and make money, because anyone can run a bot and achieve like 1,000% return if you're taking on a lot of risk. But that's just flipping a coin. The art of market making is to build a strategy that can persist for a long term and has some built-in edge that it can exploit for a reasonable amount of time. So I would say it's not really like it's hard to actually kind of like answer that question in an easy way, unfortunately. So yeah, a couple more questions from the chat. I'll try to answer these before I move on. So he asks, from my experience, you need to update orders on a SEX at least once in 250 milliseconds, 4 times a second for HFT market making. Do you think Hummingbot's architecture of canceling replace orders via REST and its time frame is actually realistic for HFT SEX market making? I totally agree. Canceling orders via REST is not, interacting via REST is probably not capable for HFT market making. That's why Hummingbot uses WebSocket for most of its interactions. But I would say I think there's also a difference between kind of like HFT is a spectrum. So if you're competing with Jump on the Binance top pair, yeah, you need to be running WebSocket 100 millisecond latency or lower, probably. And actually, you can actually run Hummingbot like that. So we've had 3Jane, which is one of the top market making firms in Europe, has kind of customized Hummingbot and kind of gotten to a point where it's basically doing ticks like less than 100 milliseconds per. And so I did an interview with Eugene from 3Jane on YouTube channel where he kind of goes in detail on how he did that. So Hummingbot technically is capable of true HFT market making if you customize it correctly. However, the reality is that most of us who use Hummingbot are not running true HFT strategies. And that's primarily because HFT firms also have a gigantic fee advantage. They're paying 0 or negative fees on these exchanges. We are not trading millions of dollars, so we are typically paying some level of fees. So that's why if you're paying fees, you probably want to execute strategies which are not top of the order book, that are doing something more directional, or doing cross exchange market making, where you're market making on a less liquid venue, you're competing with less lower bots, but you're using the data from Binance to trade on that smaller venue. So I think Hummingbot ultimately is a framework. You can use it however you like. We do see HFT firms using it for HFT purposes, but what we try to teach in Botcamp and how we use it ourselves is more on mid-frequency strategies and exploiting the crypto landscape where, like DEXs, it's, not as many people have access to. They can't automate bots on them. And so, trading on a DEX while hedging on sexes is I think how people typically use Hummingbot. So Mitch asks, is there value in attending both cohorts 7 and 8, or is everything 7 and 8 covered in 7? That's actually a great question. So yes, I actually do think there's value in doing both cohorts 7 and 8 because the content we'll cover will actually be quite different. So to go over it in this more detail, the cohort, the content in 7 will be more about basic development, maybe applying and using the strategy V2 framework, which is this right here. So we'll go into details on both the like how to build different types of strategies, market making, and directional. We'll go into how to use the different executors we have, position executor, DC executor, TWAP executor. I think we'll also have the arbitrage executor at that point as well. So it'll be more kind of like, how do you take all these components and fit them together, build the custom strategy that you want to build. Whereas the certified market maker one, this one will be more focused on the kind of the theory of market making. And it's almost like if you were market making for your own token, like how would you actually do that? So it's the cohort 8 is more focused on kind of like I would say the difference is cohort 7 teaches you how to develop a strategy, code a strategy. Cohort 8 is like you have your own token. How do you actually make it liquid? But yeah, so that's kind of the difference. But I do think that if you're, let's say if you're if you're individual, maybe you should pick one of the two. But if you're kind of like setting up a business, or you have like employees, your traders in your team, you want to send, it might be a good idea to send one to one cohort and maybe another person to the second cohort. Yeah, Dimitri asks, is there a special deal offer for joining both cohorts? Not right now, but I think it's a good idea, actually. I think it actually might make sense for us to offer a package deal and yeah, try to make sure we have some continuity in students between one to the other. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to play a couple clips of students who've submitted kind of previous demos, and this is just to show you a sense for the what people have achieved after going through demo day. So I'll play one video for someone who's gone through a strategy developer one, and another video for someone who's more like the market maker kind. A second, you try to make sure you can share. You can see what my screen is. Let's see. Okay, all right. Let's see if I can. Let's see. You can't hear my audio. I'm not sure if you guys can or not.
I think that the computer audio is not.
Okay, all right. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. Let me.
If you go to.
I think I got it. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Let's try this now.
It is offered as a strategy base, but I rewrite it into script base and also resolve some of the bug that I found from the strategy based script. So how does this sports perpetual arbitrage work? So is trading on a trading pair and is trading on its spot market and also the perpetual market. And for the perpetual market, it is running as a one-way mode. So how it works is essentially try to profit from the divergence and the convergence behavior between the two prices. Flowchart of my script, by default, the bot will start as a closed state. And there are two events that I will use. One is the event that the perpetual market has set the leverage and set the mode to be one way. The second event is to track if the order has been completely filled. When these two events are triggered, I will update the internal state of the bot. When the bot is running the on-tick, I will start by doing some pre-check. The pre-check includes some to check if the leverage has been set and to check if the one-way mode has been set in the perpetual market. Next, I will try to update the internal state. There are two ways to update the internal state. First is to update the state from closing to closed or changing it from opening to opened. So the way when the bot start running, this internal state will not be updated, but when the bot start running, this update state will be useful. This will be useful to track whether when there is an in-flight orders, whether they have been complete. When they are complete, then I will update the state to be closed or to be opened afterwards. And then I will proceed to check after the state update if the state is still opening or closing. If it is still opening or closing, I will skip this on-tick because it indicates that there's still some pending orders to be complete. But once the state has been either open or closed, I will proceed to the next stage. In case the state is closed, I will do an additional check. Essentially, I will check whether the timestamp of this on-tick has passed the buffer time. Essentially, I will set a buffer time to open the next arbitrage opportunity.
Yeah, so I just want to show you this as an example of kind of like Alex, who's a he's a software engineer in Singapore. He took Botcamp as a way to, basically kind of like enhance his algo trading skills. Kind of does this as a hobby. So this is him kind of basically taking the spot arbitrage strategy and kind of building a custom script that does exactly kind of like the spot arbitrage behavior that he wants. Because you can think of arbitrage, it might seem simple, but if you're really trying to compete with the best and trying to actually capture arbitrage opportunities, you probably have to tune your strategy to the specifics of a market or of an exchange or of your particular strategy. So that's what he was doing here. And so we try to teach people to use this kind of flowchart format to design their strategy beforehand. And then afterwards, he implemented this in code and then demoed the code after this as well. So this is a good example of, I think, of a student who got a lot out of the course. And I think Alex might be a mentor from going. So I think Humming Bob asks, how realistic do you think it is to go from zero to implementing a basic market making strategy after the first camp? So I would say, to be honest, I think go from zero to this in the first Botcamp is actually a bit ambitious, actually. So I think that that's why I think that's actually why I recommend if you're taking the first Botcamp, that you should have ideally some basic Python experience, because each of these steps in the flowchart is like one or more lines of code. It could even be a function in its program. So if you have zero technical experience, it'll be hard, I think, for you to really get a lot of that out of the first one. Now the second cohort, I think, is more appropriate, and you probably get more out of that because it's more just like it's more the practice, as you'll see later on. However, I do think that I would say we can probably teach you the financial skills. If you have the technical skills but not the finance skills, we can probably teach you that part. But if you kind of like have if you don't have the technical skills, I think it'll be hard. But let me play a video for another one, which I think will be more illustrative of what I think a good outcome for someone who takes a second Botcamp, the market maker one, will be. 1 second.
And in case it's also passed, I will trigger to see where.
So this other video is from another student who took our course afterwards. He took a kind of cohort 3, but he was more oriented toward market maker. He had some technical skills before the course, but his video was more focused on kind of executing a strategy and then analyzing the performance of that strategy afterwards.
My name is Jackie, and for my strategy, it is the cross-exchange market making triangular arbitrage. It's like to find some arbitrage opportunities in between 3 pairs of tokens. Like if you are going to buy the coin, BTC and ETH, and you can just sell the Bitcoin to sell the Bitcoin and USDT, and also to buy the ETH USDT in order to capture maybe some kind of mispricing. And this is the regular triangular arbitrage. And for my strategy, actually, I'm going to do a cross-exchange market making. Competition is pretty large right now. It would be better to do some cross-exchange market making in order to capture more opportunities. And also, I have discussed with my mentor, Yala, and he gave me some opinions like, oh, maybe you can try to do some triangular arbitrage in using BTC or ETH as the core asset. It is because usually the pairs is using the USDT as the core asset. If you're going to use BTC or ETH as the core asset, usually the spread will be wider. However, if you're going to notice about the ETH USDT or BTC USDT, usually the liquidity is very, very high and there's almost no spread. So if you're going to place a maker or maybe a bid order, like on the maker exchange with the BTC as the quote asset, once it gets filled, you can enjoy a wider spread from the maker exchange by placing that order. And immediately after it gets filled, you can just sell the pairs token with the USDT and at the ticket exchange and then buy back the BTC and the USDT. And usually the BTC USDT or ETH USDT will get a very high liquidity and almost no spread. So you can just enjoy the wide spread and capture the spread difference in the maker exchange with that low liquidity on using the BTC or ETH as a core asset, and then to enjoy the high liquidity and the narrow spread, so that if once you get hedging the position in the ticket exchange, you can enjoy the narrow spread and without losing much money in terms of the spread. Also, there's also another benefit is like you will get a lower fees in some popular token pairs. For example, like BTC and USDT, and actually it is a zero transaction fees in Binance right now. And no matter you are going to jam a maker or a taker, so you can enjoy the low fees with some specific popular pairs, and in order to explore more opportunities and higher profitability.
Good morning, everyone. So today I'm going to present a strategy.
So just to kind of explain more. So Jackie, after that part, he also explained how he ran the strategy for a few days and analyzed performance of that strategy. So overall, I played this video to try to give you a sense for the differences between the two cohorts in terms of what you'll learn. So the market maker one is really about kind of like teaching you the hands-on experience of market making using specific trading pairs or markets, and kind of walking you through basically learning how to be a market maker. So Jackie, who I just showed you afterwards, he actually got a job at a market maker, at a crypto market maker afterwards. So hopefully that kind of helped him with his career. Whereas first one, this was more on technical development, showing you how to use a new strategy V2 framework to build what you have. I think Aleko has a good question. He asks, do these cohorts come with documentation or guides or tools that are not part of the existing open source material? And are there assignments or projects or homework week to week that try to test and reinforce what we learn? Or is it continuous work toward the demo day project? That's a great question, actually. So that's actually why we split the cohorts and the courses. But if you sign up for a cohort, you will have access to the courses as well. The courses is where it's more of like, that's really the content that is not part of the open source material. And the courses will be more structured. So they'll have modules that have like homework, quizzes that kind of help you learn the course material. The cohorts are not, they don't have dedicated material, and that's primarily because the V2 framework is very new. So we're kind of still building on it and extending it. So we haven't had a chance to kind of lock in a lot of pre-recorded structured content yet. But over time, I think what you'll see is that we'll take the content that we have in the cohorts and we'll kind of add that to the courses and expand the offerings of the pre-recorded content over time. So actually, let me, there's a good segue. Let me go into more details on how the courses work now. So the courses are basically what we've if you look at our website right now, it has a big under construction sign, and it's because we're still in the process of migrating them from the legacy site to the new one. So these are the courses on the legacy site. So this is on botcamp.hummingbot.org. So there are 5 modules here, and this is basically kind of like what we consider the introductory material that shows people to set up Hummingbot and how to use Hummingbot to basically kind of learn the basics of how these different strategy types work, how to implement them in Hummingbot. So this is kind of like, this is to us, this is kind of like the introductory content that someone who just wants to understand the basics of algo trading or market making should learn. And so that's why we structured it into these like pre-recorded modules. I think there's almost like something like 20 to 30 hours of content here. Actually, probably a lot more if you add in all the live recordings from the previous cohorts. Currently, this is on the legacy website, and over the next month, we're going to move them to the new website. So basically, the old website, we were using a platform called Teachable, and in the new one, we're moving to Odoo, which is a more flexible open source platform that I think fits the open source nature of Hummingbot better. So Odoo will be the permanent home for Botcamp. We also have a new website, botcamp.xyz. And instead of having it on a subscription basis, when you buy a course, or if you buy a cohort and the course comes attached to it, you'll have lifetime access to that course. So hopefully that makes it easier for people to do, and the courses will be more structured. So one of the reasons we're taking some time in doing this migration is that we don't just want to port the courses over. We want to try to port them over in a way that will make them evergreen. so that we don't need to update them. Instead, they'll try to cover kind of like the basics, try to use Hummingbot to show you how to do the basics of these strategies, and so even someone who doesn't know how to code can come in and kind of progress through a series of courses that get them to a point where they can run basic strategies in Hummingbot. We hope that the courses will set people up to take the cohorts, so that if you sign up for cohort and you don't have the background knowledge, you can kind of like bootstrap by taking the content in these courses before the cohort starts as well. So unfortunately, the migration probably won't be ready until probably close to the April 16th start date for cohort 7. But for anyone who signs up for cohort 7, we'll give them access to the legacy platform. So you'll have access to this platform unless you already have it already, and you'll have access to the new platform once that's ready in April. So in terms of pricing, we haven't finalized the price point yet for these courses, but we think that these will be substantially less expensive than the cohorts. So the cohorts, by the way, the cohorts will be $1,000 for the cohort 7, and then $3,000 for cohort 8. Right now, there will be early bird specials and discounts for existing Botcamp subscribers, but these courses I think will be much lower, probably like under $500 for most of them. So the overall basically the layout I think will be the courses will be more for beginners, people who just want kind of pre-recorded content on learning specific strategy types or just getting introduction to basic algo trading and market making. Whereas the cohorts will be for people who want to really get into from a serious side hustle or as a part of their careers. People who want to learn algo trading, and so they can build strategies and earn money by building strategies for other Hummingbot users in the community or for themselves, or for people who want to learn market making so they can deploy their own capital or deploy their employer's capital. Oh, and then also I should mention one thing I should mention is that we do have offerings for partners as well. So we're actually doing a custom Botcamp for Ripple right now, where we're teaching a cohort of Ripple employees how to run market making bots on the XRP Ledger protocol. So as part of that, we'll be doing more with Ripple in the future, where we'll be expanding content around the XRP Ledger, building more integrations to it, and trying to educate people, both internally at Ripple as well as externally on how to use XRP, how to run trading bots on the Ripple decentralized exchange. So I think this has been pretty successful so far for us and for Ripple, because for us it allows us to really focus on a single ecosystem and to kind of design content around one. And I think for someone like Ripple, it's a good easy way to really get hands-on feedback and to expand the usage of their protocol. So I think we actually might take on another one or two of these engagements later on this year. So if you work for a blockchain protocol and are interested in kind of running a custom cohort for your community, please let me know. So I think that wraps up the public part of this info session. I hope I was able to answer a bunch of questions along the way, but if people have more questions, please feel free to raise your hand or drop questions in the chat. Yes, can you talk about the approximate pricing for this type of corporate Botcamp? Great question. So I would say it's kind of like negotiable, but I would say it probably starts at about at least because it takes us time to actually customize something for one protocol. Probably starts at a minimum of like 30 or 40. Also, do any of your team offer one-on-one mentoring? Currently, we do not. And I would say it's more because our day job is maintaining Hummingbot for the community, and so it's kind of like I would say if you we are a collection of individuals. So if you contact any of us on Discord, and I'm not gonna prevent any of our team from not doing it, but we don't offer one-on-one mentoring as part of our day jobs, more because so we can serve the overall community. Leica, do you have another question?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate all the information you're providing today. I wanted to know a little bit about does the V2 strategy course, does that go into workflow and speed of workflow too? Specifically about how you go from writing something to testing it to finding where the error is and fixing it and kind of going through those steps, but within the framework of Hummingbot specifically?
Yeah, well, I think that you'll have to do that if you want to build a strategy yourself. As in, I think what you're referring to is kind of like let's say you build a strategy, you find a bug. How do you debug that, and identify what the error is. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I haven't really I've done stuff that hasn't really used like a larger framework like this where there's like a lot more moving components. So like I was going through it yesterday, and you have to like run a compile command, and I'm just curious if maybe there's ways that like I can be editing the script and like running it more quickly than going through the whole compile process each time.
Oh, okay, got it. Actually, you actually don't need to do that for these scripts. So
I had a
the
feeling.
reason we compiled because there are some files that are in Python, but for scripts and strategies, they're actually in Python. So because you're not modifying the Python, you can actually kind of just modify it and run it without it changes. So yeah, actually, I think what you're asking is like, do we actually kind of teach you like how hands-on is it? Is it like do we actually help you understand like how to really use a framework, or is it up to you? Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Got it. So yeah, actually, I think this part is actually, I would say, I think we offer quite a lot of hands-on support, especially on the understanding how to use a framework, understanding how to debug it, and yeah, it's almost like we can go as detailed as you want. But Fede can chime in here actually, because Fede is probably the one who's actually providing this type of level of support. So yeah, I think that we should try to provide a lot of hands-on support.
Yeah. Regarding to that, I think that is based on usually when we are doing these kind of things, a lot of people is asking how to customize, how to debug, how to control all that stuff. Most of the people is concerned about speed. From my point of view, that's not something that you should be concerned about right now, mainly because of the fees, because of there is more alpha in your signal or how you code than in the speed sometimes. Yeah, I think that if you learn how the framework really works, you can be like creating very good algorithms with just improving configs. I think that that's really valuable. Can you let me share screen, Mike? So while we were in the meeting, I just started a bot. I don't know if you can hear the beeping, but I just started a bot. For example, one thing that is good to learn how to use the bot to get opportunities based on the market. For example, in this case, I just ran a B2 strategy in XRP, FUSD. This is since the meeting started, and I customized it a little bit to have more fields, for example. And here is in Bitcoin, for example. These strategies, as you can see, this is 1 minute candles. So see how many trades I'm doing in just 1 minute. And this all and this is all like market making just from one side, since I don't have the base asset, but I would like to start getting some base asset while I'm getting the spreads, for example. So I think that before getting too much into coding or developing custom strategies, it's better first to understand how this system works, how the market maker works, what you're looking for when you are doing market making. Based on those things, you can then understand how to improve a strategy, or why a strategy can work or why a strategy is not working. So I think that is a combination between debugging your algorithm, understanding what your algorithm is doing, and then there is always a room to improve. I saw also a question in the chat before that says, which is a PNL, or is a PNL can be done through this amount of money and so. And that's something that is very difficult to measure, because it depends a lot of the strategy that you would like to run. For example, the strategy that Alex provides is one of the ones that we saw in the video. Is a strategy that it's a spot funding fee arbitrage and spot pair arbitrage. Probably the difference will be small than the one that you can get, but if you can expose probably a lot of capital. Then you have some strategies that are directional that can probably get much more rewards, but also can be much more unstable. Or for example, this strategy is not a strategy to make PNL. I'm doing some positive PNL here, but my point here is not doing PNL, instead making a lot of volume to get to the next VIP level, so I can reduce my fees. So always depends on what you want to do and how you want to approach it. If you are a protocol, probably you are not concerned about P&L. You are concerned about providing the right liquidity to the market, so the market is yield. So that depends a lot. But as you can see, I'm running with just one bot in these two markets, in Bitcoin and in XRP, and I am quoting and see how many fills I'm getting. It's like and doing a lot of volume while we are just talking. But yeah, there is another question.
Yeah, maybe answer some questions. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go.
Okay, so I want to answer. I think a couple of people asked, do people get like the online courses? How soon can you get them? So right now, I would say if you buy the cohort right now, we'll give you access to the formal courses right away. So I don't think I've done that yet for the people who just bought the course in the last couple of days, but I'll make sure by this weekend, everyone who's bought the course will get access to the previous ones, and going forward, you should get access right away. And also, I think there's another question about creating a ChatGPT conversational interface that helps people learn how to run strategies in Python. So yeah, I think Fede can go into more detail on this because we actually do have plans on doing something with AI later on this year.
Yeah, the idea is that there is one of the projects that is the Condor. The idea is that at first we'll let you deploy multiple bots. Is going to be complex at first because the idea is that you can deploy Condor just with AWS as an image, and Condor will have access to your AWS account to create new servers so you can deploy a lot of bots. So that's a little bit complicated to do manually. So the idea is that it works as that interface. And later on, as all that infrastructure is ready, that is going to be a little bit complex, but the idea is to go there. We'll let you create at first. The thing of AI will be helping you creating configs for your markets. For example, just to combine another question from Hummingbot, a good name, Hummingbot, is like, this is a strategy that is in Hummingbot. This is one of the V2 strategies, but the thing that changed here is how I configure it to achieve this thing. So that is what the Condor will be doing. Is like Condor will be trying to help you creating good configs for the available market making or the electron strategies that we have in the code base right now. And well, later on, we're going to try to explain how the docs works and all that stuff. But yeah.
And actually, I think that over time, this system will be more quote intelligent, because what we should be able to do is take the commands and the Hummingbot and all the data being generated, and then use AI to make that more approachable user. So instead of using natural language to call the commands or to understand what the commands are, using natural language to understand what's happening with your bot and querying for the status instead of just analyzing the data. But there are definitely ways that AI can make this process better. But right now, I think our focus is more on expanding the framework and coming up with examples of different strategies that people can build, and kind of like essentially providing more data that the AI can use later on.
Yeah, there is a question that says, well, regarding to AI, before we continue, we made some experiments with AI already, and I tried to create some AI bots to answer questions about documentation, that stuff. So it works, but it's not so good to write strategies because there is a lot of complexity in writing training strategies, mostly because of the events. It's not complex to write it's very complex to write a good trading bot. That's the thing. And right now the AI is not there to do so. So the thing is that for now we are focusing more on this, and I think that creating configs will be a very good task for the AI. Plus analyzing what your bot is doing and suggesting things. Plus identifying which markets can be attractive for the type of strategy that you are trying to do. Well, the other thing is that in the V2 strategies, there is an abstraction layer that we have that is the executors. And the idea is that the executors will let you, at some point in the future, will let you interact better with the AI, because if the AI understands what executor is for, can really help you creating executors based on what you want. For example, in this case, this strategy that I'm running here, that some people is asking me if it's a grid bot, is not directly a grid bot. A grid bot is more like dummy, because you can just put fixed prices or percentages. This, as you can see, this bot was following the price alongside the trading and all of the candles that I have. What it's doing is creating position executors. The position executor is the first smart component that has an open order and a close order related based on take profit, stop loss, or time limit. So as you can see, in this case, I only put buy position executors, And all the sell executors that you're seeing here are the take profits of the executors that were executed. So this strategy is running in a spot, and what is doing is, for example, in this case, I put a stop loss because my goal is to generate a lot of volume to move to the next VIP level. But the main idea is that if you don't put stop loss, for example, in this strategy, and you are confident in a certain range, this strategy can work as a volume generator plus buy and hold certain coin if you don't put a stop loss, for example. So you can change a lot what the strategies are doing based on the config that you are using.
Yeah, actually, there's one question from Vlad I think we should answer. So Vlad asks, for cohort 7, do we need to have accounts on crypto exchanges? And if so, for which ones? That's a great question, Vlad. So what we try to teach people is running a trading strategy on either a spot exchange or a perpetual exchange. So ideally, you should have access to like one of those two types of exchanges. So usually, I think almost all of us can access a spot exchange that Hummingbot is connected to. You know, we cover like many of them. So pretty much all the basic one, all the major ones like Binance, OKX, KuCoin, etc. We cover. If you're in the US, you know, we do cover Kraken. We actually just upgraded Kraken connector, so Kraken is probably the recommended one there. Coinbase is workable as well, but Coinbase fees are very high, and so it's hard to actually do algo trading. I mean, paying like 0.5% on every trade. For on the perpetual side, most people, I think, yeah, Binance Perpetual is probably the recommended exchange here. However, if you live in a jurisdiction where you can't access perpetual exchanges and you do want to access something in perpetual side, there are decentralized exchanges which you can probably access and try out there. But overall, I would say it would be good, I think, just as you're preparing for the cohort, to have an account at either a spot or a perpetual exchange beforehand.
Actually, I'm very happy. Just a comment. I'm very happy with this bot because it's like I really found how to trade a lot without so much capital. In fact, I did since the meeting started. The total amount here in XRP is $100. In Bitcoin is $100 too, and I generate 3,400 USD of trading volume, and in Bitcoin 1,200. Total is like $4,600 of trading volume, which has $200. I don't know, 50 minutes, 40 to 50 minutes. So it's like quite impressive how much you can generate with open source software. So yeah.
Is that in a perpetual Fede or a spot?
No, it's a spot.
Oh, is this spot? Oh, wow, nice. Yeah. Are you, so what's your P&L?
Yeah, I'm doing this because there is a zero fee promotion. If not, that's why when the people ask me about the speed and the frequency and the replacement of the order, it's like, yeah, you can do this in case that you have zero fees or very, very low fees. If not, it's like very complicated to achieve this kind of performance.
Yeah. Right now, there's a zero fee promotion going on for FD USD pairs. Is that one?
Yeah, for FD USD, there are some markets that are zero fees for makers and zero fees for takers. There are markets that are only zero fees for makers. In this case, this is full maker. You can run it a taker if you want.
Yeah, I do agree. I think these promotions are these are really good opportunities for my users because setting up I think we had a user who took a previous Botcamp who was trying to do something similar as well, but it's kind of he took advantage of like a zero fee period in Binance to generate lots of volume using Hummingbot and to achieve a certain VIP tier that he could then use going forward for other strategies.
Yeah, I think that this can be considered art at some point.
You should create an NFT for it.
I should create an NFT. This view is or history. Yeah.
No, I'll take a screenshot. Oh, we'll use this for the website.
Or this one is probably better.
Yeah, that one looks nicer. I'll take a screenshot of this one. Okay, all right, okay, perfect. Okay, all right.
Well.
Thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate everyone sticking through the time. I think we had a really good participation for this info session. I think we'll probably do another one actually before the start of the next cohort, just to try to answer more questions for people who couldn't make this one and try to flesh out more details on what the cohorts and the courses look like. So that one will probably be in early to mid-April. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone.
Okay. Bye.